Welcome into the Toyota Lounge for the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We've got Big E and Rudo as always, but we are joined by very special guests, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Gabe Landeskog. Gabe, first of all, thank you very much for being here. Thank you to Fresh Tape Media for an incredible documentary on your recovery. Cannot wait to watch the final episode here in a little bit. And congratulations to you on a comeback that I don't want to say was unlikely, but certainly in rarefied air for nearly 3 years off of the ice. Can you just talk a little bit about how that long of a rehab was difficult and how you persevered through it?
Yeah, I mean, it was, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Thank you for allowing me to come into your cozy little podcast room here. This is great. Yeah, where do I even begin, to be honest? I don't know. It's, I knew that cup run in 22 put a beating on my knee, but I still thought, in the off season, a couple months, get some treatment, get some time off, start training, and then we thought maybe a smaller procedure was going to help it out, but it didn't. And then I was kind of staring down the barrel of kind of the inevitable of like, well, I can't get my knee to a good enough spot without doing this cartilage transplant. And figured out pretty early on that nobody had done it in our sport, and pretty limited amount of people that had done it in other sports as well. So, but what was I going to do? I was 29 at the time, kind of in my physical prime, except for one part of my body, right? And I just felt like, yeah, even if I lose a step, then so be it. I'm still in my mind, a smart enough player to get around and make plays and be effective and contribute to the team. And I thought, maybe a year and a half, maybe I could do it a little quicker. Yeah. But I realized pretty quickly on in the recovery, as you've seen throughout the show, that my mindset has to change. It has to change, and it has to get away from kind of the timeline and more into just realizing where you're at today, and just almost like just accept it, live with it, do your best. And finally, once I kind of let go of all the timelines of I have to do this, I have to do that, then things started getting a little bit easier, I guess.
You talk about a procedure that has been, there may be 5 athletes ever that have really gotten this procedure and recovered from it. You're the first hockey player to do so. Was there ever any doubt that you were coming back? Was there ever a looking towards the rest of your life, or were you always making it back?
Oh, there was doubt. Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I told you there wasn't any doubt. There were days where I would just try to forget about hockey and think about what else can I do, what else do I want to do, what else interests me, what else this and that. And I'm lucky. I've got, my wife just gave birth to another baby girl here just 3 days ago. So now we got 3. But my 2 kids, Linnea and Luke, like if I didn't have them and Melissa and the support from my close family and friends, I don't know what I would have done, to be honest. And I think it just they allowed me to stay present through those tough times and get through it with them, for sure.
Throughout the documentary, we've seen a couple of emotional moments for you, from not only the reception from fans at times during the opening night of this season, but also you've been a part of the team, you've been around the team as their captain, even off of the ice. How do you balance maybe pressure internally on yourself being the leader of this team versus all the support you got to come back for the Avalanche?
Yeah, I mean, I was thrown into a role all of a sudden now that you're the injured captain for years and years, and that starts shifting kind of your identity in a way, right? Like it's hard to go in the locker room or hang out around the guys and still feel like you're a part of it when you haven't been a part of it for so long. So I just kind of took it for what it was and just tried to be a good teammate, try to be there for the guys. And I knew the day was going to come when I was going to get back in there, and then I could be myself and get back into that more comfortable role of being that captain and doing what I do. And it's not like I do things just because I'm a captain, but it's more just you feel more comfortable in that role. So I just kind of had to get used to that, and I had to just kind of come to terms with it. The support's been incredible from my teammates, from the organization, from day one, fan base, and like I said, my support system's been great.
This version of the Avs has kind of grown up with you. You've seen this era. You took on the captaincy very early, and obviously you guys reached the mountaintop in 2022. Is there more? Is there a want for that second Stanley Cup? How much of that want to win drove you to come back versus this is just what you do with your life?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt there's a want to win, and I would say it's probably stronger than ever. And then that's not just for me, but that's for the rest of the guys in the room as well, where it's, you've been there once, and you just want to get back there.
Yeah.
Every season's a failure if you don't, and especially, we know what kind of team we have. We know the talent that we have on our team. We know what we're capable of. So, no doubt, it's the hunger to come back, and I think that was a part of what was really hard throughout the process of coming back was. I felt like we were just kind of missing chances and wasting time in a way, right? That summer of 22 and going into the fall of 22, we were just like, all right, let's do it again. Yeah. And then the team changes and you lose guys and guys get hurt, guys deal with stuff, and and now we're here again. We had a great opportunity this year, great team, and you're forced to just reset and get back on the horse. It's as simple as that. And yeah, you'd like to come up with all sorts of excuses, but there aren't any. Yeah. So we're looking forward to the challenge. I'm looking forward to an off season where I can continue to get better and look forward to training camp.
You were part of the Avs org once upon a time.
That's
here.
right.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something congrats from all of us here. And
thank you.
All of DNVR Avalanche fans, they love you. What's not to love, but congrats on the third baby,
Thank
right?
you.
So that's first and foremost. Secondly, you're talking about doubt. You talked about doubt. You were talking about doubt. Obviously, I was there, and I'm going to give you flowers. I don't like to, but I will. We knew, and this is the God's honest truth. We knew when we drafted you, before we drafted you, that you were going to be our captain. We knew that right away. And we knew that you were going to bring Lord Stanley home, you know what I mean? And there was never any doubt in our mind. There was never doubt in my mind. Now that you did it, now you're talking about doubt, and you talked about it. Of course there was any doubt in those 3 years of trying to come back. What did you learn about yourself, you know what I mean? Knowing that, it's everyday life, but all of a sudden it's taken away, you know what I mean? And you learned a lot about your support system, but what did you learn about yourself in those 3 years?
First of all, thank you. Second of all, what did I learn about myself? I honestly believe if you would have told me before my surgery that, hey, this is going to take everything you got for the next 2 years plus, I would have told you, I don't think I got it.
Yeah.
But here I am, and obviously it was a bumpy road, but we got to where we wanted to get to, and now we have more work to do. So I'm not saying it's over, but it took just about everything I possibly had. And it was, you only see a snapshot of it in the documentary, but there were a lot of early morning, late nights, it's treatments, it's going to the pool. You go home, tuck your kids into bed, and then you go off to the pool because there's a 30-minute workout to do. And there's always just this I need to do more. And there were times where I was running real low on belief.
Yeah.
And there were times where the last thing I wanted to do was to go to the gym or go skate or go to the pool or get treatment. And all I wanted to do was just crawl up on my couch and just watch the latest Netflix show. But I kept telling my wife, Melissa, all the time, I'm like, and I think I would tell her this, not to preach or to coach her, but it was more just to get my mind right. And I would say, you know what discipline is, right? She goes, no, what? I'd be like, it is when you do something that you really, really don't want to do. You still do it. So I just kept that in the back of my mind. And every time I stumbled upon something that I really didn't want to do, and, whether that's in the gym or on the ice, or I just kept reminding myself of that. And I think that's one of the things I've learned. It's just the capabilities of the human mind and the human spirit, not losing belief. And it can waver, and there are times where you're not sure of what the future holds or what is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Is this the right thing to do? But I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And the other aspect of it is I got 2 amazing kids, and now 3, obviously, but like it just, they've allowed me to stay grounded, and they've allowed me that when I come home from the gym, from the rink, whatever, I can disconnect and I can be dad. And that's sort of, I think you see some of that in a clean sheet, the balance of that, and it's saved me, really. It's been a huge help for me.
They say there's no replacement for NHL game action. We saw you play in the AHL, produce a couple points down there. It took you till your second game back to produce at the NHL level. Is it like riding a bike, or was there an adjustment period?
No, there's definitely an adjustment period, but I think it helped me in a way that it was playoffs.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I kept telling people that, and I don't know if people wanted to believe me necessarily, but similar in 2022, I had a smaller procedure 6 weeks before the playoffs, and then came back for game 1, and it's the playoffs, so all excuses go out the window. I mean, it's just you just go play, and it doesn't matter what everybody's dealing with stuff, and it's that time of the year. So there was a small learning curve for sure, and there were times in my skates and the practices where I didn't look like I'd played hockey in 3 years, and then there were times where I felt like I still got it, So there was a little bit of both, but I think the competitor in you comes out. I think my mindset kind of helped me out in just not wanting to believe any of the excuses, and I think that helped.
To my eye, you looked great out there for the record. But do you feel like you're playing the same way you were before?
I think we're scratching the surface to get there. I think there's more to my game, and I think there were certain parts of my game that I didn't quite get to, and a lot of it's going to need repetition, right? And time in practice and time in games, and I think we forget. There was, I did some morning skates here and there, but I didn't quite get the repetitions and in practice. I mean, I got that 1 full week before the playoffs, but other than that, you need reps and you need game situations to get you up to speed, and we'll get there. And now I get a whole off season to work on my game, which I'm excited about.
Game 2, you took warm-ups. Was there ever a chance you were playing in that game, or was that always the plan to just take a warm-up?
It was always the plan to take the warm-ups in that game. You know what? It was a mutual decision we came upon before kind of the playoffs started. That we don't forget, like, we didn't know what I was going to look like going into the playoffs. Like, let's not. It's easy to say now in hindsight that he could have done this, could have done that, but we didn't. I mean, we had a great team, and the chemistry was looking good, and our lines were clicking, and so it just was a mutual decision we made. Hey, listen, we'll come out, and I kind of pushed to get out there in warm-ups in game 2. I didn't want, when my first game was coming, I didn't want to have to take that step that day, so it was nice to get that out of the way, and then for game 3, I felt very comfortable, and obviously very special doing it at home, but. There's so much that goes into that decision. It's, home ice versus not. At home you have treatment people, you have, your family, you have just less travel. It's just, the human body and my knee itself, it reacted in so many different ways with airplane travel, with not. It's just, there's so many things to take into consideration. And I think at the end of the day, I think we made the right decisions, and that's simple as that.
I know you've experienced some injuries and rehab, nothing quite like what Landy has gone through, but maybe you can speak to this a little bit too on how much it takes, obviously not just for yourself, but all of the surrounding cast that helps you through an injury.
Oh, but that's why I go back and looking at the beautiful clean sheet documentary with a fresh tape, but not that the content is beautiful. It's crap. Like what you went through was crap, and you're right. That is hard. It takes everything out of you. And that's why I was asking him earlier, the doubt, because I'm being honest. Like, I don't think I would have been able to make it. And these guys know, Rudo knows, I had doubt
I'd have
said,
quit
I
on
didn't doubt
day
you were going
one.
to bring
I'd
the
have been
Kansas
like,
Cup
I'm
here.
done.
Well, I had doubts you were
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
back. I said it too, and I told him, there's no way he's coming back from that.
Yeah.
I know. I've been there. There's no way. There's no way. So for me, I think it's fantastic. Like I said, not the content of the documentary.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
No,
the
I
reason
appreciate
of the
that.
documentary, but
Yeah.
well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well, and I think it's honestly, to just touch on that, is I saw it as like this. I'm like, you know what? Let's see if I can do this. Let's see. Like, yes, I'm 29 years old. We just hoisted it, and da da da, and great. But I'm like, I feel like there's more. I feel like I can. I don't know. Like, let's at least give it my best shot. And I think that was my mindset the whole time. Was like, if I'm gonna do it, let's do it right. Let's do it. Give it my best shot. And I think you touched on it. It doesn't just affect the athlete himself. It affects everybody around him. And my wife, Melissa, shout out to her. She's a rock star and has dealt with me at my best and definitely my worst. And I wouldn't have been here without her.
Love it.
Great to see you back on the ice. I'm sure it's great for your side of it too. I can't wait for whatever's coming next season for you guys. Love the team you've built. If there's anyone you want to shout out before we get out of here, go ahead.
Well, I think I'd like to take the opportunity to do it. AJ Oscarson and the whole Fresh Tape crew. We're here to kind of celebrate the documentary in a way, and the final episode's coming out. Everybody here tonight, it's coming out for us, but everybody else tomorrow. And I think it just they believed in me from the get-go. They believed in this story. They've allowed me to be a part of it from a creative standpoint. And I think it's allowed us to tell the story to everybody out there. And I think so I want to thank you, AJ. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, all of Fresh Tape. Appreciate it. And thank you to Avs Faithful.
If you haven't checked out A Clean Sheet yet, make sure you go do so right now. You can go get it on HBO Max, as well as on Amazon and other locations. They are on TNT as well. So go check that out. Fresh Tape Media did a great job. Can't recommend it enough. An awesome snapshot into an incredible story of Gabe's recovery. So, Gabe, thank you again for coming on. We do really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
We are out of here for this interview. We'll have more from the DNVR podcast after this break.